Title: My uncle sent me a video of my family, calling me a worthless burden, even though I'd been paying their mortgage for years. She owes us, they said. I didn't say anything and acted normally until the next payment came due. Worthless in their eyes. It was 8:42 p.m. on a Thursday when I got the video. No text, no context. Just a single file from my uncle, Victor. We weren't close. He was my father's older brother, the one who sat silently at family events, watching everything but rarely speaking. Out of curiosity, I pressed play. I wish I hadn't. The footage was from a backyard cookout, one I hadn't been invited to, the kind my family said they weren't doing anymore because things were tight. I recognized the plastic chairs, the chipped table, my mother's floral apron, and then I heard my name. She acts like she's doing us a favor, my mother's voice barked, over a sizzle from the grill. Paying the mortgage doesn't erase being a burden her whole damn life, a woman laughed. My sister. She thinks just because she wires money every month, we owe her gratitude? She scoffed. She owes us. Years of stress, years of carrying her dead weight. Then my father chimed in. I'll say it. She's a worthless burden. Always has been. My vision blurred. She'll never stop paying, because deep down, she knows she's lucky we even keep her around, my brother added. Guilt is the only thing she has left. More laughter. And then, my mother again. Cutting, cruel. Let her keep sending checks. She doesn't even realize none of us actually respect her. The video ended. For a long time, I didn't move. I just sat there, phone in hand, the screen black, the air around me still. I'd been paying their mortgage for 6 years. I stepped in when my father lost his job and never stepped back out. I covered utilities, groceries, medical bills, birthdays, gas money, Christmas gifts they said they couldn't afford to buy each other. And not once did I throw it in their faces. I just helped, silently, because I loved them, because I thought family meant something. I didn't respond to my uncle. I didn't forward the video. I didn't call or scream or demand an explanation. Instead, I sent my usual transfer for the mortgage on the 1st, $1,712.34, same as always. Then I sent my brother $80 for gas. Then I FaceTimed my mom, who smiled like everything was fine, and asked if I'd mail her new vitamins. I said of course, because I wasn't going to blow up. I was going to bury them in silence, and when the next payment came due, I would make sure they finally understood the cost of betraying the one person who never asked for anything and gave them everything. The transfer that never came. The next payment came due on the 1st, just like always, but this time, nothing left my account. I stared at the mortgage portal for a full 5 minutes before closing the tab. No confirmation email, no transaction record. I hadn't forgotten. I had simply chosen not to pay. They didn't know that yet. By the 3rd, my mother messaged me. Hey, sweetie. Think the bank messed something up? I got a notice about the payment not going through. Love you. I didn't reply. On the 4th, my father called. I let it ring. Twice. Then silence. On the 6th, a family group text lit up with, Dad. Hey, what's going on with the house? We got a late fee notice. Mom. You okay? Sister. You didn't forget the payment, did you? I opened the thread, typed, everything's fine, and closed it again. By the 8th, panic started to show. Brother, you always pay on time. Is this like a test or something? Dad, you know we don't have the backup for this right now. No one apologized. No one said, We're sorry for what we said about you. Because they still didn't know I knew. They thought this was a glitch, a fluke, maybe a passive-aggressive moment. They had no idea this was war, and I wasn't coming with fire. I was coming with silence, pressure, and time. On the 10th, my mother emailed me an old photo. One of me at 10 years old, smiling awkwardly with missing front teeth at Christmas. Remember this. You were always our special one. I know you're probably just overwhelmed, but we're here when you're ready. It would have been sweet if I hadn't heard her voice calling me a worthless burden just days ago. I made my move on the 11th. I logged into the online banking account where I'd been funneling their mortgage payments. I changed the email notifications to redirect to them. Then I set the autopay rule I had once created and quietly deleted it. They would now get every message from the lender themselves. On the 13th, my sister called. I picked up. "Hey," she said softly. "Look, if this is about anything that was said last month, you know people vent. We were just talking." I said nothing. She waited. "You're not, punishing us or anything, are you?" I exhaled, calmly. "You'll be fine." Then I hung up. By the 16th, they had received a second notice, warning them of pre-foreclosure proceedings if the balance wasn't cleared by the 20th. My father texted in all caps, "We need to talk. This isn't funny anymore." I agreed. It wasn't funny. It was justice. They called me a burden. Now they'd know what it felt like to carry weight they couldn't afford, to scramble for something they once thought was automatic. They were about to understand what I had been worth all along, by watching what happened without me. When the lights went out. On the 20th, the lights went out. Not metaphorically. I mean, the actual power in my parents' house was cut. I knew the late mortgage payments had triggered a hold on their bundled account, which included utilities. I knew the grace period had ended that morning. I also knew they had no savings left. They had leaned on me for so long, they didn't even know how to stand. At 10:47 a.m., my mom called me from my sister's phone. I didn't pick up. Then came the texts. "Mom, the house is dark. We have no power. What's going on?" "Mom," again. "I know you're upset, but please, your dad is shaking. He's embarrassed." "Mom," again. "We'll talk. We'll fix this. Just please, help." I stared at her messages, heart steady. No tears, no shaking, just quiet satisfaction. They still didn't know I had seen the video. They still thought this was about money. It was never about money. On the 21st, the HOA sent them a warning letter about the front yard, overgrown and unkempt. I knew that too, because I had also stopped paying the landscaping fee I used to cover quietly. The house I kept afloat was rotting from the inside, just like their view of me had all those years. By the 23rd, my brother called me in a panic. "I'm gonna lose my car if I can't cover this week's bill," he blurted. "I know you're pissed, okay? But come on. I've always had your back." I laughed out loud. "My back," I said. "You called me a worthless burden. That was you, wasn't it?" Silence. "You saw that?" he whispered. "I heard every word. From all of you." "Look, it was a joke." "No," I interrupted, calm as ever. "A joke is forgetting someone's birthday. What you said was a belief. And now you can live with it." I hung up before he could respond. On the 25th, I received a group email titled, "Family Apology." I didn't even open it. Instead, I went to my banking app and closed the secondary account I had created years ago under my name, just to monitor their finances. All connections severed. By the end of the month, foreclosure notices were pinned to their mailbox. My parents had to borrow money from a neighbor just to pay the electric bill. My sister was publicly ranting on Facebook about selfish people who abandon family. My brother tried to sell his gaming console for $100 and got laughed off Facebook Marketplace. And me? I was doing fine. No, better than fine. I was free. I started to laugh more, sleep more, cooked meals just for myself, and ate them in peace. My apartment felt warmer. My own name didn't echo with guilt anymore. I was no longer the burden they carried. They were the weight I had shed. And they were finally learning what it felt like to carry their own cruelty with interest. I hadn't screamed. I hadn't exposed them online. I didn't need to. Because the most devastating revenge is the kind you don't have to explain. The doorstep breakdown. It was the first Friday of the month, the day the mortgage used to be paid. But not anymore. Instead, I heard a knock. Not the polite kind. The heavy, uncertain kind. Like someone who knew they shouldn't be there but showed up anyway. I didn't look through the peephole. I opened the door. There they were. My parents. Standing together like statues weathered by the storm. My mother's eyeliner was smudged. My father looked thinner. He held a grocery bag with a dented bottle of apple juice and off-brand cereal. A peace offering, maybe. Or pity disguised as effort. "Hi," she said softly, like nothing had happened. I stepped aside, wordlessly. They walked in like ghosts. They sat on my couch, but didn't look comfortable. My mother's eyes flicked to the photos on my shelves. All of me. No family, no siblings, no shared memories. I sat across from them and waited. We wanted to say we're sorry," my mom finally offered. My father nodded. "We messed up." Messed up. I leaned forward. "Do you remember what you said?" I asked, voice calm. They exchanged a look. My mom flinched. "She's a worthless burden," I recited. "She owes us. She's lucky we keep her around." My mom's eyes welled. "We didn't mean it. You did. We were drinking. You were honest." They looked small. Not the towering people I once feared disappointing. Not the warm home I used to protect. Just people. Flawed. Desperate. Weak. "You want me to help?" I said. "No," my dad lied. "We just wanted to make things right." I tilted my head. "You need the mortgage covered." Silence. "You're behind on the electric again." Silence. "You've exhausted the neighbors. Your reputation in the neighborhood. Gone." My mother sniffled. "I know, I didn't know how much we relied on you until you lost me," I finished for her. Then I stood, walked into my bedroom, came back with a printed copy of the bank's automated closure confirmation, the final document ending my linked account to their mortgage. I placed it on the coffee table. They stared at it. "You're free," I said. "You can finally stop pretending to tolerate me." My mom shook her head. "Honey, you called me a burden." She reached for my hand. I didn't move. "I know," she whispered. "We didn't deserve you, but you were never—" I gently pulled my hand away. "You're not allowed to rewrite the story now." They stood slowly. My father looked around once more. At the clean walls, the working lights, the quiet peace of a home I built alone. "No one's coming to save us, are they?" he asked. "No," I replied. But neither was I. They walked out. I didn't close the door right away. I just stood there. Not to watch them go, but to feel what it meant to be alone. Without pain. I had mourned my family in silence, and now they were gone. Not because I pushed them away, but because they had taught me what to do with people who call you a burden. The final transaction. 3 weeks passed. No more texts. No more calls. Not even the group chat where I used to send birthday reminders, bill receipts, or quiet holiday wishes. Gone. The silence was beautiful. But revenge. It isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about redesigning the story, so that those who erased you are forced to see your name again, every day, as a reminder of what they threw away. I called the mortgage company. "Hi," I said, voice calm. I'm the former contributor on the Branson family loan account. Yes, ma'am, the agent said. I see your name was removed last month. Correct, I replied, but I'd like to make a one-time payment, and I want to leave a note on the account. Of course. I wired exactly $1 to an overdue balance of over $7,000. Under memo, I typed, "For every dollar of respect you never gave me." Then I requested the receipt be mailed, not to me, but directly to my parents' address. That same afternoon, I submitted a formal report to the HOA, anonymously, about the property's uncut lawn, broken side gate, and trash pileup. 3 citations arrived that week. A neighbor later posted on the community Facebook group, "What happened to the Bransons? Their place looks abandoned." I almost liked the post, but I didn't. Silent. Always silent. Then came the final piece. My family never knew I had bought a small rental unit last year, a 2-bedroom apartment I was renovating to flip. I changed the name on the deed to match my mother's maiden name, Grace Whitman, and listed it for sale under a fake LLC called Burden Property Group. Just to be clear, no one would know I was involved, except them. They'd see the name, feel the sting, and wonder, could it be her? But they'd never know, because I wasn't looking for recognition. I was delivering accountability, silently, strategically, and forever. On the last day of the month, I sent one final email. Not to them, but to myself. Subject line, "You did it, and you never raised your voice." In the body I wrote, "They weaponized your kindness. They devalued your worth. And now they live with the fallout of their own cruelty. Not because you exploded, but because you finally chose you." I archived it, smiled, and then booked a week off work, not to escape, but to celebrate. Freedom has no audience. The first Sunday of the new month came and went. No calendar alerts, no banking reminders, no sense of dread tightening my chest. I sat by my window that morning, coffee in hand, legs tucked beneath me as sunlight warmed the edge of my couch. The silence was still there, but now it wasn't hollow. It was mine. I checked the online listing. The apartment sold, Burden Property Group's first official sale. My realtor emailed me to congratulate the owner. She had no idea it was never about profit. It was about closure. The unit's new resident would never know what that space meant. The emotional burial site of my family's entitlement. They would live their life, and I would live mine. Uninterrupted. A week later, I received a handwritten card in my mailbox. No return address. Just 2 words on the front in loopy cursive. "We're sorry." Inside were 4 signatures. My parents, my sister, my brother, and a small square photo of all of them, taken at that same backyard barbecue. They had crossed out the background, leaving only their faces. Underneath, in shaky handwriting, "We didn't mean it the way it sounded. Please come back. We'll do better." I stared at it for a long time, and then I quietly placed it in the shredder. Forgiveness, I've learned, isn't always about restoration. Sometimes it's simply about deciding that their weight doesn't get to stay with you anymore. It doesn't mean I hate them. It means they no longer get to define me. 2 weeks later, I started therapy again. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand how I stayed so silent for so long. My therapist asked me what I wanted out of the sessions. I told her, "I want to learn how to recognize love, not just obligation." She smiled and said, "That sounds like someone who finally knows her worth." I left that day feeling something I hadn't felt in years, whole. Sometimes people look for dramatic endings, explosions, courtroom meltdowns, viral exposures. But my story? It ended with a calendar that no longer controlled me, an inbox without desperate texts, a bank account that served only me, and a heart that finally didn't feel the need to prove itself anymore. They once called me a worthless burden. Now they're struggling under the weight of losing the only person who ever carried them, without asking for a thing, I never told the world what they said about me. Never showed anyone the video, never screamed. I just stepped away and let the absence of me speak louder than anything I could have ever said. You are not alone, and you are so much stronger than you think. Tap that subscribe button to join Veiled Revenge, where we share tales that heal, inspire, and remind you that even the deepest heartbreak can lead to the most beautiful new beginning. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that revenge isn't always about getting even. Sometimes it's just about getting better.